It's Tom
Hi,
and Rob
Tom
here
and
on the
Rob
Tom.
here on the Tom and Rob show again for the week of. Oh, it's the last
It's
day
the
of
last day
June.
of June. Yeah.
It's the last day of June 2026, and somehow that has happened while we weren't looking. Um, what's going on? We're all celebrating the grand 250th anniversary state fair, which everyone has shown up to. The Cash Patel's
Oh
girlfriend was
yeah. Because nobody else wanted
singing,
to.
and the FBI director caught in love nest with quote singer. It's a
Yeah.
Citizen Kane joke I keep wanting to make. Um, they had a picture of her singing on stage and pointing at the crowd, and there was a guitarist next to her wearing sunglasses, and you could actually zoom in on his sunglasses and see the reflection showing there were only six people watching them in a big empty field behind them with nobody in it, and they actually the official site went and
Well,
cropped
Yeah,
the
the
thing,
because they
the
they have no substance. They're all veneer, and
they're
if
very
the
veneer, they're very
they're all
petty. They
veneer, and
don't.
if the
This is going to be a bit chopped up because I made a big
yeah
mistake while recording this, and I'm trying to fix it. Hopefully, we can
yeah
keep going.
not
I
been
need to look at
broken,
my notes. Trump got on social media and said,
something
Obama
like
couldn't
that.
throw a party like this, but he just did 9 days ago when he opened his thing in Chicago.
He had U2, Bruce Springsteen, another big star who just oh yeah, Stevie Wonder, and I went, you can't even get Kid Rock to go. Vanilla Ice quit,
Yeah, the point
and
was,
and and Vanilla Ice quit. And then, man, you suck, dude.
you can't even get Kid Rock. The Obama just had a a a, a better thing
But
than this.
but he had Alexis Willis or Alexa Willis or whatever her damn name
Well,
is. Well, did you see the
anyway,
interior of the booths? Most of
I
them
didn't
are
see.
just three walls and two love seats, and it says the name of the state on it. There's nothing in there about the state. Most almost all the Democratic states said, "Yeah, no, we're not gonna send you anything."
I just this could have been good. I mean, but it's like, where did the millions go that they're throwing around for everything else? It seems like they're doing this for 50 cents. Where's the money disappeared to that should
They
have gone to
did.
this thing?
They did. They stole the money out of the national parks because it's on the mall, which is
Uh
administered by the national park. And so they stole
right.
the money out of the national parks operating fund.
Well, isn't that clever? Um
Well, that's what the no bid contracts are all about. You heard
did you
about
ever see
another no bid $500 million contract for the so-called ballroom. That was no bid through a White House office that is in charge of upgrading furniture and making repairs. So
uh-huh.
how is knocking down a wing of the White House and rebuilding something furniture or making
How was
repair?
that furniture repair? Yeah, exactly. The contractor who got the reflecting pool gig.
Yeah, what does he look like? Does he look like gold chain, big beer belly,
Did you ever
and
see
no hair?
just central casting, greasy black hair, bigger cigars than cigars need to be? Like, who are you trying to impress? And supposedly shiny suit, but it looks actually cheap, and it's just screams cheapo mob boss. Don't trust me. Most untrustworthy guy you'd want to like stay away
Yeah,
from if possible.
I run a me's and my friends. We run a pool business. Yeah.
We know what we're doing. Well, let's talk about
Oh my
the
God.
the way the thing all lifts up and stuff. I'm sure it's just they didn't prime the
Nope.
surface right. You have to like let it dry out for 28 days and sandblast it and keep it dry and then put a primer on and then maybe put this paint on it. Then maybe it would adhere to the bottom and it wouldn't float up and it wouldn't separate and stuff like
Well,
that.
Rob, it's not paint. It was a rubberized sealant, and that's but yes, and it's
Okay,
supposed to
okay.
stick. It's not paint. Come
It's
on.
not paint. It's some other thing. So that's why, if it started to break, it would just kind of separate like a piece of plastic.
Right.
We're out of sync. Sorry. Um, did we start talking about the Supreme Court next? I don't remember. not all the decisions were terrible, but some of them were. And I have this whole rant about.
Yes. Well, they've already changed the rule that a postmark doesn't mean it was received on that date. So that's going to give them that ambiguity and say, oh, you can't trust the postmark. It wasn't on that date.
Okay, they agreed on that, and they agreed the birthright citizenship. Um, oh, I had a whole rant built up, but it got kind of nullified when I made my recording mistake. So we're just gonna have to pretend I said something very clever about the Supreme Court here, because it got
Actually,
lost.
or Kavanaugh, the only reason Kavanaugh joined the other five was that he said there's a statutory deal. I have no problem with the constitutional issue, but there's a statute that you can't just break with an executive order.
Right.
So, but if you think of it from the constitutional issue, only five said constitutionally it's not right. There were four judges who can't read fucking text. Yeah,
it's in black
there's
and
no
white. We know
ambiguity
what they were
there.
talking about when they wrote the amendment. We know what the amendment
And it's a
means. It's not.
5-4. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
There's still that many
lucky
justices
they
who are
don't
willing to
live in
say, yeah,
1790, so they'd all be guillotined.
oh,
The angry mob.
I wish there was some way to nullify it. I was even thinking that if you got a constitutional amendment passed through 35 states and the Congress and everything, this court, the right wing of it, would say that new constitutional amendment is unconstitutional.
Right.
It doesn't apply. That's where we're at now, and it makes me crazy. We were talking about Supreme Court reform in December of 2024.
Well, and they used to. It was the right wing used to their critique of the Warren Court and later the Burger Court, especially
Right.
when it came to abortion as an obvious one. They said, if you want to amend the Constitution, amend it. But don't just say it means something that's nobody else has ever said it meant. And I went, okay, but on the other hand, there are a lot of things that do, there are a lot of implied stuff in there. I mean, it doesn't say that you can't do that. But they just.
Well, there's part of the Constitution that says
Correct.
we're not enumerating
And
every
they're
single
reserved-
right because
And
there
they are
might still
reserved to
be.
you and not the government. And one of
Right.
those things might be to make
We
a
can't
choice
list
about
everything.
your own bodily autonomy. Maybe.
For example, I don't know. I was wondering if Kamala Harris had won, would she have done anything about the Supreme Court? I don't think she would have, and we would have had these same decisions all roll out anyway. I just don't. I hear commentators like us saying these things. We need to do something with the Supreme Court. We need to do something radical. I don't hear any Democratic politicians saying that.
Well, we don't really know. She never said one way or the other, so we don't really know what her position was. You're right, though. She never came out affirmatively.
Not in so many words. No, she sounds different now. Sometimes when she speaks, but
yeah, they're starting to now. The Supreme Court has they have no respect for the legislature, and they just say, no, we're a super legislature. You got it wrong. Why? Because we say so.
Did I start talking about Supergirl? When did I start talking about Supergirl? I saw Supergirl.
I think we have to start over, don't we? I'm not sure.
We could just do a reboot like a movie. Reboot the country with the different cast of characters. And that's when I started talking about Supergirl. So I saw Supergirl. It's okay. I was thinking it had a very paper thin plot. Where I was saying it's like one of those old Adam Sandler movies where, we got to save grandma's house, raise $30,000 in 3 days or something. We got to save my dog that's been poisoned by finding the special magic antidote, and we have 3 days to do it. And it's about as thin as that. Even though he's a super dog. You take him to Yellow Sun, he's cured. It'd be as easy as that, but somehow the movie forgets that. There's a side character who's a little girl who's on a revenge plot. The bad guy killed her family, so she wants revenge, and that's actually a better plot than Supergirl has. And then someone pointed out that's actually the plot of True Grit, both the John Wayne and the Coen brothers movie. A little girl wants super sheriff to take her to do her revenge on the bad guys thing, and it worked then. So why doesn't it work now?
Yes.
Because they don't have enough supporting it or something. I don't know. It was good. I didn't hate the movie. It was good. It was okay. Best thing in it
Uh-huh.
was Jason Momoa. Well, the little
Mm.
girl is not very fun. She's not very interesting. Um, but Momoa's playing the side character who's like a galactic bounty hunter mercenary, and he's
Is
just
he the bad guy?
no, he's sort of an anti-hero, but he's just having so much fun chewing the scenery and stealing scenes, and he gains 5 pounds by the end of the movie. He's chewed so much of the scenery that he's he's just, and I'm wondering whether they were trying to figure out like can this guy sustain a movie on his own, but maybe I was thinking
Yeah.
maybe not. He's better just popping in, stealing a scene, and then roaring out again on his space motorcycle. He has this huge deal. Anyway, so the movie was okay. I don't really have people say, "Do you recommend it?" I'm like, if you want to see a Supergirl movie, go see it. I guess Tom's nodding, but I don't know what he's nodding at. We're so out of sync. You have no idea what I'm trying to do here. I basically lost my half of the conversation, and I'm trying to rebuild it in real time while listening to Tom's half of the conversation. It's a very strange thing to be doing. But I thought since I haven't moved since I did this mistake, if I just sit here and try it again, it might work. But it's not going to be perfect. Anyway, um I just have to wait till Tom says something that I know where we're in sync. When he's just sitting there like that, I don't know what I was saying to him to make him nod like that. I was talking about Peter Sellers. So I was rewatching the Pink Panther movies because they said they're leaving soon, so I watched them. And there was this thing that Peter Sellers did that was really tricky, where he's doing a French character, French accent, but Clouseau likes to put on disguises and do other voices. So while being a Frenchman, he's also doing a Frenchman imitating a German accent, imitating a Swedish accent, imitating an
Oh,
Italian,
if
an
you just
American
start
Italian
thinking
mob
about it,
boss.
you're dead.
If
If
you
you
can't
think
build it
about it,
up,
you're dead.
you can't
It'll
build it
kill
up
you
one
because you'll
piece at a
be,
time.
you just have to, yeah.
He was that
Yeah,
good.
he
I think
was that
once he's
good.
locked into the Clouseau thing, Clouseau can do these other accents and do them badly. That's what's funny is this French accent keeps showing through. But like if you had to just do that, there's no way you would be able to recreate what he was doing. It has to just come naturally. And Mel Blanc did a similar thing where he did Bugs Bunny imitating Daffy Duck's voice in one cartoon, and Hank Azaria was saying, "Do you know
Hmm.
how hard that is to do? To do one character imitating another character, and you're the voice of both of those
Well,
characters, and yet
he had,
I never knew what Peter Sellers' early life was like, what he did the first 30 years of his life to just show up. Because as soon as he showed up in movies, he was already doing the thing where he plays multiple characters at a time. And how you start doing that from the get go. And even Stanley Kubrick said, "Hey, I'm going
hmm
to do the same thing. I'm going to have Peter Sellers play all these multiple parts in Doctor Strangelove."
well, he had to beg off doing what
The
eventually
Slim
was
Pickens part, too.
Slim
Yeah.
Pickens' part. Yeah, he had to beg off because he said, "I can't do it." I know, and he was originally going to do Major Kong as well.
I think the movie's better for Slim Pickens being the Slim Pickens part. But yeah, they were going to really go for it.
Yes,
That, but I don't. I guess Alec Guinness had done that too in Kind Hearts and Coronets. Played like eight
yes,
members of a
men
family,
and
and
women.
men and women. But yeah, I don't know where Peter Sellers came from. Like, where did he grow up? Did he start doing this in school? Who was he before he appeared in the movies? I don't know. I've never read a book about him or seen a documentary about him. Let's see if we can
I
get
don't know.
that
I'm
on the
now,
board.
now I've got to look up Peter Sellers. He came up doing BBC Radio on the comedy series The Goon Show.
The Goon Show,
Do you know The
yes.
Goon Show?
I do know the Goon Show. It was important to both the Beatles and Monty Python. They were both
Okay.
fans of the Goon Show, and mentioned it a lot. Like that's where their sense of
I
humor
don't think
came
I've
from.
ever
Both
heard
of
it.
those guys. No, it's hard to. Well, it's around. It's on YouTube. It's bits and stuff. It's a little slower paced than you might think based on today's comedy rhythms, but yeah, it's good.
Hmm.
It's Peter Sellers. You know, he has the opportunity to do all the voices he wants in a comedy radio episode. And then there's a guy who's sort of a writer performer named Spike Milligan,
Oh yeah, I know Spike Milligan.
and
Yeah.
uh, and then a third guy whose name escapes me that was the third Goon. I used to know his name. I'm sorry. I could have looked that up just now, and I would have known it. I would have sounded like I knew something. Um, but yeah, also the Beatles like the Goon Show because their producer
On
George Martin
BBC
produced the
or
Goon
for the
Show.
BBC.
Yes, and so they thought, well, yeah, let's get that producer guy, you know, because he used to do all those crazy sound. So now he wants, when they were interested in making studio effects and sound effects in Yellow Submarine stuff like that, they had a producer who knew how to do that because he was on the Goon Show with those guys, or produced the Goon Show. So yeah, two different threads in my life all lead back to the Goon Show, which is interesting. But I think you had to be like a young boy in 59, 60, 61 to really be there for when the Goons were like the best thing to listen to. So I kind of missed that. I came to it way too late, but I respect them. Did I start talking about the Larry David thing? I, I was worried it might be cringeworthy rather than funny, and that's basically the way I felt about it. And the whole thing is that he's throughout American history, Larry David's character from Curb Your Enthusiasm, that Larry shows up, gets annoyed by petty little grievances and starts yelling at things, but they're not modulating it well. He starts
Yes.
yelling way too early,
So
and I'm like, why doesn't this work here? It's because I think it's because it's scripted. Like because they've written out this all out ahead of time and they're performing it for a camera without any sense of timing for an audience or anything. I just think they should have taken it on the road like the Marx Brothers and seen where the timing was for an audience or something like that. Then maybe it would have worked, but you know that's not
that
sort of
is.
Larry David's thing. To the
It's an
people who get slap
incredible.
dancing.
It's an. I think it's an incredible fine nuance that either you get it or you're off. And if you're off, it's for some of us, it's unbearable. It's just like, uh,
Yeah, there's something about sketch comedy, and you know, I just felt like he was going to the anger and the shouting too soon somehow. But maybe in the absence of knowing a live audience's energy, he was yelling to try and get energy into the sketch that they were doing because they're just doing it for one camera, and that has
right.
a totally different feeling in the room when you're doing it. So
It
maybe
is.
he's trying to pump up the.
Might be a way of injecting energy. Yeah, because if
Anyway.
when you're a vaudeville guy like the Stooges were and the Marx Brothers were, you're doing at least 3 shows a day, at least. Sometimes
Yeah,
5. Yeah,
for like 14
sometimes 5.
years,
Now
30
the
years.
show is only like a 10-minute. Everybody got 10 minutes in vaudeville.
I
What
mean,
works? What
by the
doesn't
time
work? Yes.
by the time we see the Marx Brothers or the Stooges, they've been doing this since they were children, and they really have a sense of when an audience reacts, how long you wait for a laugh, you know, how the whole thing works. I mean, they were like seasoned
Yeah.
professionals before they ever were
Yeah.
on film.
And like I say, it's like when you're doing that many. I mean, they're 10-minute bits, but when you learn how to do a bit because you're doing that bit for 3 to 5 shows a day, and
Also, speaking of the Beatles, they also did that in Hamburg. They would play like 10, 12 hours a night, 3 or 4 or 5
they
sets a
did.
night, and with a German guy yelling at them, make a show, you know, get the energy up to do a thing, and they had, you know, had to be in sort of basically amphetamines for a lot, a lot to just to get
Yeah.
through it and have the
Yeah.
energy level because
You would have
people
to.
that
I can't imagine doing 3 rock shows in a row.
you can't play that long in a row. Your fingers would fall off, and Um, they because people that stayed in Liverpool, they went away for 6 months, came back, and they were like 50 times better than they were 6 months ago. And they're like, "How did you do that?" I was like, well, because they basically played 5 years worth of shows on amphetamines in 6 months and got all their practice and
in
became
6 months.
yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, what did I talk about after that? Was that then when I started talking about the Taylor Swift thing?
Yes. Yes.
I told an anecdote about Paul McCartney trying to get backstage at a Taylor Swift concert and her bodyguard saying, "Sorry, you can't go in, you're not on the list." And Paul must have been thinking, "Oh, so that's what it's like."
Well, there are probably people who don't know who he is.
Don't
He's
know
old
who Paul
enough
McCartney
and
is.
they're young enough, and those music groups, I mean, those musical tastes never meet anymore. Although when kids get turned on to things like, I'm always shocked how teens, you turn them on to things like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Kinks, they like it.
Yeah, this still works.
Yeah, they like it. But
Yeah. Well, it's all pop, but
right,
uh,
but they're not going to get that from the 18 and 19-year-olds they're listening to, because those
yeah,
people probably don't know those people.
yeah. I mean,
But they may not. They may not. I shouldn't say they don't.
for several generations after like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s musicians, they all came up
Hmm.
listening to the Beatles as they grew up. It was a foundational part of the music they were making.
Hmm.
But now we've had a couple of generations where they didn't grow up with the Beatles. They don't know it. They've never heard it. So that's an entirely different thing. Like they may be 25 before they ever hear a Beatles song for the first time.
Or sadly,
Um,
the first time they hear a Beatles song is in an ad, and you're
yeah,
going, "What?"
actually,
Okay.
when all the reaction videos, like let's listen to the Beatles for the first time, they all kind of follow a trend and listen to the same song. And strangely enough, one of the ones they listen to a lot is Helter Skelter, which has never been one of my favorite Beatles songs. In fact, it's kind of on the low end of ones I like the least. Um, and I just think it's a strange choice. But people think it's like an early version of heavy metal, like it leads to Metallica. It was like the first heavy metal
I
kind of
think it's
song.
kind of punk, actually, but
Yeah, it is. But the lyrics are kind of odd for what the song is, and you just can't
mhm.
um, get a sense of how loud they were playing to burn that into a little vinyl record. You just can't. It doesn't sound loud enough to me. It just
Oh, right, yeah.
and it's Ringo who shouts, "I got blisters on my fingers" at the end of the record because he was pounding so hard for the whole time. And they did like
I thought it was
99 takes of
John.
that song.
I thought it was John because he was
Yeah, for a
like,
while I thought it was John. I mean, talking about the Beatles
I can't
work
imagine. It's too
discipline.
intense.
If they weren't satisfied, they would just do it again and again and again and again, and somehow,
Well, that
25 takes
that
is not
clip you
enough for them.
sent me, thank you, by the way, of McCartney
Oh, the
in
part of
Abbey Road.
McCartney
I
in
thought
Abbey Road.
that's McCartney in a nutshell right there, because he's doing a show. He's doing a show. But this is how we made the record, and he's just like a kid in a
He's
candy shop,
he's so
isn't
happy.
he? Because he's got his 1 inch. He's got his 1 inch tape machine, and he's doing his 4 track on there, and he's showing you how to mix it down to the. You do 3 tracks and you mix it down to the 4th track. Now you get 3 other tracks.
Three more tracks.
And so, and he thinks it's the funnest thing ever. And he's doing tones
Like wine
on
glasses.
crystal glasses. Yeah. And he could
Yeah, I'm
probably
glad
do
you
that
watched
for
that.
9 hours a day.
Yeah, this is your job. You get to
And
play
he
around
loves
like
that
this.
melodian. He just,
Mellotron.
is that what it's called? Mellotron?
Mellotron. Hey, look, this is what we play Strawberry Fields on. Boop, 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 boop. See, yeah, definitely. That sounds just like it. There was they were going to clear out all the old studio equipment to make room for new equipment, and he found out about it. He said, "Can I just buy all this stuff?" And they said, "Yeah, you can." And so that's why he has all those toys now. He owns them. They used to be EMIs. Now he owns them. Some of this works.
Yeah.
Some of this works. Okay, so this is random and has nothing to do with anything else, but I I saw an interview just last night, and it's odd
Yeah.
because it's Robin Williams interviewing George Lucas. I'm like, why do they know each other? Well, they both lived in the Bay Area, San Francisco kind of thing. Maybe just know each other from celebrity thing, but they seem like friends.
Mm.
They're like laughing and joking around with each other. But George Lucas said the most bizarre thing, and I can't believe he goes around believing this. He was this is like right around the time episode 1 came out, and people were hating on Jar Jar Binks, as they should. And he was trying to defend it by saying, well, when Star Wars came out originally, C3PO was looked on as the most loathsome movie character in movie history, and everyone hated
No, he wasn't.
C3PO.
I heard that same quote,
What
and
are
I
you
said
talking about? That's not. Do you remember
he was
selling
annoying,
13
but he
million
wasn't.
C3PO
Yeah,
dolls?
they
Everyone
loved
loved
his
C3PO.
annoyingness.
And then he goes on to say, and then when Empire came out, everyone hated Yoda. And everyone hated Yoda too.
People
So
loved
they
Yoda.
hate Jar Jar and they
I
hate
know.
C3PO and they hate Yoda. I made 3 characters that people hated. And it's like, no, you
No, he
didn't. You
didn't.
made 3
Name
characters,
one.
2 of which were
I should
loved,
go to him and say,
and one
name
of
one
which
person who hated
one
C3PO.
of which was hated. I don't know what he said. The fact that George Lucas goes around believing this is really strange to me. The guy who created Star Wars thinks people hated C3PO and Yoda when that is clearly not true. I mean, maybe he read some article at the time that like dumped on C3PO and it just bruised his ego and stuck in his head for all these years or something. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, because it's not true. I was 13 years old. I was 13 years old when the original came out, and I saw that movie, and I read all the reviews because I was one of those movie nerds. Where my dad got Time magazine, so I read Richard Corliss and Richard Schickel every
Oh yeah,
week.
Schickel and Corliss. Yeah,
Yeah,
Richard, the 2
and I read them
Richards.
every week, and they they rarely reviewed the same movie, but they for the Star Wars thing made the front effing cover. They both did reviews of it. Neither of them mentioned hating C3PO. One of them mentioned Hidden Fortress because
Right.
he's, and the 2 bumbling
Little
peasants
um
were C3PO. They were C3PO and right. And so I went, oh,
yeah.
I've got to watch that movie. And I remember that then. I said, I've got to watch it. And I finally got to see it. And I could see why I
Yeah,
could
you go
see
see it and
because
you're
they
like,
were hitting
"Oh,
each other and come on, kid, we gotta get going.
now I see it. It's obvious." Yes, yeah. Oh, I had an opportunity to see the movie Blowout, the Brian De Palma movie, at the Alamo the other night. I've seen it
It was
before, but
pretty
this was in
darn
the big
good, wasn't
theater.
it?
It was pretty darn good.
And
It's
doesn't it
very
hold
good,
up?
in fact. It holds up. Yes.
And
He
I
had
thought that was one of the most suspenseful things
um
movie wise that I had seen.
I
And
mean,
De
they were
Palma was
pretty.
known for his suspense stuff.
Yeah, they
I
were
thought it was really
criticizing him
good.
as copying Hitchcock, but no, he was also interested in suspense, and he had a whole bag of tricks that Hitchcock had never thought of to do suspense things, and that's sort of more what it is. He just had so many ideas. It was like every single camera setup has some kind of arty little extra thing to it. It's a little off to the side. It's high. It's low. It's got a diopter. It's a split screen. It's something.
Yes.
Every single thing, even if it's just a conversation scene, he's doing something crazy. He just has so many ideas, too many ideas, almost
Yeah.
like Spielberg had kind of the same problem when he was young. Too many notes you're mentioning,
Well, and but
and this isn't even getting to the thing where the camera is like pivoting in 360 degrees, going around at least 4 times, while John Travolta races in and out doing. I mean, the scene is he's discovering that every single tape in his library is erased, and he's frantically setting up tapes on machines all over the room to see if they're all hissing, and like they're all empty, and the camera is spinning around and around. It's just this, and there's a whole camera crew somehow ducking around the back doing it too in the same tiny little room. and it's just audacious to even conceive of it. And it's doing the job of a montage of time passing, of events happening, and instead of dissolving and overlapping, it's just all in this one crazy shot that keeps going. Who would think of that? And I think he wrote the script, and I think he just wrote, I got these visual set pieces I want to do, so I'm going to come up with some kind of story. Oh, okay, so an assassination plot. He oversees something. That's good enough. Now I can do all these crazy ideas that I want to do, and just stringing them all together.
Yeah. Can you imagine
really
how many days it took
to set up that shot? Yeah, I have no idea. It's and get it perfect take of it, because it's unbroken. It's a one shot. It doesn't stop.
Well, it's probably one of his better pictures, no doubt. And he, yeah, when you mentioned that about all the camera angles, I thought of Dressed to Kill, and in the kill scene of Angie Dickinson in the elevator, and how it's very claustrophobic, and he does a lot of those really extreme angles, and you know, the Hitchcockian thing of like, you see the thrust, but you don't actually see the contacting, but you know bad things are happening.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I immediately thought of that. He loved doing stuff like
that. The movie ends in this climax with fireworks going over their head as they do another rotating 360 shot of John Travolta cradling Karen Allen, but it's not like the Hitchcock fireworks shot that it's implied that they're having sex, which Hitchcock definitely did do in To Catch a Thief. Because I'm just trying to think from a story point of view, you know, spoilers, John Travolta has just arrived too late to save Karen Allen. She didn't make it. And so what are the fireworks visually celebrating? I mean, if anything, it's darkly ironic, but it almost makes no sense.
That's how it starts,
but
right?
It's just Brian De Palma has to he had this idea that they read these crazy fireworks in this, you know, shot, and it's even a process shot. They have to do some like optical printing to make it work. But what does it mean? It means he failed to save the day. Why would there be fireworks? I don't know. And it's about soundness. It's about movie makingness. He's so into making movies. He wants to show off how cool making movies are by making the movie. It has a really young, baby-faced John Lithgow as a psychotic guy. I mean, really, there is a conspiracy underneath it to take out a political candidate, but they hire a guy who's just too crazy. He doesn't stop. He starts killing everyone because it's just more convenient for him, which is just a crazy idea. Like, so the political conspiracy doesn't end up being in the movie. It ends up being about this crazy killer guy that's just kind of on the loose and is going to kill everybody. And in fact, he almost does. Really good movie.
I remember I really liked it. And I knew I'd never seen, but I had heard Blow Up, which was Antonioni.
Antonioni.
Thank you. I either want to call him Anteloni.
Right, and in that one, it was blowing up he witnesses something by taking a photograph, not by recording an audio, which Mel Brooks did in High Anxiety, even though it wasn't Hitchcock, it was Antonioni. And he enlarges it not by enlarging a little bit of a piece of paper, but like makes a 50-foot tall photograph to. So I started has nothing to do with anything, but they're still going around the movie Say Anything, where John Cusack holds up the boombox to get the girl and get her interesting, and it's still talked about even by women that are too young to have seen the movie as this romantic thing, like he's sweeping her off their feet. But in the movie, it doesn't work.
Right.
He's out there with the boombox and the Peter Gabriel, and she like rolls her eyes and covers her ears and tries to get away from the sound of it because he's being really stalkery and annoying, and he doesn't get her that way. That boombox trick does not work in that movie.
Wasn't that Ione Skye? Was that Ione Skye was in that? And he was going to be a professional kickboxer. I remember that. So Nick, what are you going to do with your life? And he said, well, Mr. whatever her name was, I'm plan to be a professional kickboxer.
That wasn't a.
It's so funny because, I guess kickboxing is probably analogous to Muay Thai, MMA, or UFC, or something like that.
No, all
But
that
this was
stuff.
way before those were things.
Yeah, it was ahead of its
Muay
time.
Thai
I mean,
was
this is.
in Thailand and was a thing, but we didn't know about it because it was a Thai thing.
Oh yeah,
That's
originally it was all
kickboxing,
like it was scrappy little Thai
and they were
guys, like small
kickboxers. I
but
mean,
like
they
really
they
tough.
wore crap on their. I mean, they had bare feet, but they wore gloves, and they usually had headgear.
Well, in hopes they had headgear. Um, yeah, that
Anyway,
was a that, that was a Cameron Crowe
but yeah,
movie,
you're
I
right. It's
think.
like, how many times has that been used as a reference?
Alluded to
Or,
always as a romantic ideal, but
and do you remember
not in the
the
movie. I think
Peter
the Gabriel
Gabriel
song was
song that it
it's
was?
like in your eyes or something like that.
I think it was In Your Eyes.
Yeah,
In your eyes,
in your eyes, that kind of
I
thing.
am complete.
Okay, well, we're getting kind of close to it, I think. We're gonna do next week it'll be July already, and in fact maybe we need a summer break and it'll be 2 weeks before we do another show. I don't know. So just randomly I keep kind of hating on AI, but occasionally it's useful for thing, and I actually asked it just randomly last night. I'm really bad at playing bar chords on the guitar. Like, when do I stop being bad at that? How do I get better at it? And it actually had a bunch of advice for how to do that. Take 3 or 6 months of practice, and you do these exercises and you'll eventually get better. Like, it actually said something sensible. Like, here's a plan of action. Here's how you're going to do that.
How did it know you weren't doing it right?
Well, it did actually cite several sources that it was pulling from, but it said, and those were sites saying bar chords are
Not a bar
tricky,
chord?
they're hard to learn, but there's usually these are the things people usually start out doing wrong, and here's how you practice better and smarter to get better at. So it was reading that and just feeding it back to me.
Well, it's very good at information retrieval. It's very good at organizing things. It's very good at that sort of thing. And if people just use it for what it's good at, and it's really not intelligence. It's a basically, well, the LLMs are
Fancy
not. Well, LLMs, they're
autocorrect.
just, as my buddy Omid keeps telling me. He said, no, it's just a prediction engine. It predicts what that next word will be, or should be, and it's based on all the other crap it's read. I mean, that's all it does is what should be the next word here. Yeah, I
Weird
mean,
thing is,
that's not cognition. That's not the way we think.
they've trained it by having it read the entire internet, but there's a lot of bogus stuff
Yeah,
on the internet.
yeah. There's a lot of. That's why it hallucinates stuff that isn't true. Right.
Right, that's probably why it hallucinates all the time, because it's read all the bad stuff too. And how does it know? So, well, we're running out of time here. We've actually talked for 50 minutes again somehow.
This is my picture of a polar bear in the snow.
Oh, I
Right.
forget why
Remember that
this.
old joke?
I do remember that old joke. I don't remember why you were telling it. Um, Blank screen something. I don't remember why we were talking about a blank screen. Funny, it's apropos now. I know something you don't about this very special episode of Tom and Rob Chat. Okay, we got to wrap this up, and
Well, it's
maybe
all
take a break
corrupt, and
because
it's all that shit was corrupt.
what was corrupt? What was I talking about? That something was corrupt. Why the polar bear? I had one last digression, which was about how people have, the whole thing. We started out when we started doing the show talking about Elon a lot because he was actively doing Doge and stuff like that. So it was a topic, and we haven't talked about him in a while. But he recently became a trillionaire, and I'm kind of against that. But it reminded me of someone was talking about how you evaluate. People are not good at picturing exactly what a trillion is or a billion. people have a pretty good idea what a million is. But when you think of the, a 0.01%, $1,000, functionally, a guy with $1 million has $1 million more dollars than a guy with $1,000. And a billionaire, practically speaking, has $1 billion more dollars than someone with $1 million. And a trillionaire has $1 trillion more dollars than a billionaire does. And people just can't conceive of that scope of it, like how much more $1 trillion is than $1 million, than $1 billion, than 1,000.
They're not orders of 10. Right? The orders $1, $1,000, $100,000, $1 million, and then because you're putting 3 zeros in there.
But it's 1,000 more. It's not just a little bit more. It's
right.
A trillion is a million.
Isn't it 1/999th?
Basically.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't a million 1/999th of a billion?
It's 1,000th of a billion, but it's a trillion is a million.
Okay, yes.
A billion is 1,000
million is a billion. 1 million needs 999 more millions to be a billion. So yeah, it's people don't get that.
Yes, they just can't conceive it quite right. And this is why a trillionaire you shouldn't have the same amount of money as the
if you're in the
domestic product.
If you're in a trillion, no, you shouldn't.
It's gross in some way.
Speech. Money is speech. Again, they mentioned that again. And no, it's not.
How are we going to fix that? The whole money is
just
speech
by declaring.
How are we ever going to?
It's not. It's amplification. Speech is you and me speaking, you and me writing, or you and me in a group talking to people. Being on TV is amplification. Being on the radio is amplification. Having someone get your message and spend $1 billion putting it out there is amplification. It's not speech. The speech is the thing you say or do, your communication.
One voice box, one person.
Right. And how you get it out there is amplification. It's megaphone. So you're not the same thing. One is a mode and one is the thing and one is the mode of getting it out there.
I still think we need to go back to the days when you could only have own like 5 radio stations, not
you shouldn't
500.
be able to.
There was just a thing where they were trying to merge the last 2 gigantic radio networks that.
Oh, the radios, yeah. Well, they were trying to do it in TV, where Nexstar was trying to hook up with. I don't know, because I think you may be talking about a Clear Channel and another radio station, radio conglomeration trying to get together.
I think Clear Channel is now what's called iHeartRadio. Like they wanted a happier name to make it seem iHeartRadio. But anyway, yeah, the merger thing, just like we need to go back to where there's a limit on these things, and I don't know how we're going to get there. I don't hear anyone talking about it as a priority.
Yeah, I mean, we need a new let's break this shit up. We need a real.
Yeah, we need.
Yeah.
We need another Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt come in and
we need not just Teddy Roosevelt, but Franklin Roosevelt together. We need Franco Teddy.
We need 2 more Roosevelts to come to Washington and just break all these things up. And
we need the antitrust.
And those.
We need the trust
busters. They were not afraid.
No, they weren't.
They were not afraid.
They said, "I'm going to do it. Who's going to stop me?" And
yeah,
Teddy was the trust buster, and Franklin was, we've got these new modes of communication. We're going to set rules.
Well, apparently we have this imperial presidency now. Someone should be able to just go in and do stuff now.
Only the ones we like.
Anyway.
Just remember, the Constitution is what I say it is.
Right. For the people we like. It only works for Republican presidents, this one particular one. Otherwise, no. None of the things, ignore what we said.
Oh, cool.
All those extra powers, they don't count. Anyway, I'm really tired now. Oh boy. I've done 2 shows
Let
in
me
a row
know.
now.
Let me know.
All right. So maybe I'll see you in 2 weeks or next week. I might have a whole bunch more to say,
You
see
were
a whole
full
bunch
of
more
good stuff
movies and all that.
today. You were full
I
of
was
it
full
today,
of stuff
bro.
today. I was really full of it. Yeah, my mom likes to say that. Ah, full of it, huh? Yeah, thanks. Um, yeah, I was so full of it. I did the show twice. Oh boy. All right. Well, thanks for doing the chat today, Tom. I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Have a good evening.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.